What's up, y'all? It's Master of Thought. This is episode 6. I have another really special guest of mine. I met him at the gym, working out. And we're going to get to meet him today and see what makes him tick and why I even put him on the show. All right? Well, thanks, John. This is John Barone. Thank you for coming down.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me. Finally, we've been talking about doing this for a while, so we finally got to put it together. So
Yeah. And this is just casual, man. This is not like everybody's just gonna like meet you for the first time.
Okay.
Like through the lens that I saw when I thought you were interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one of the first things I really just kind of want to get out there is your love for cooking.
Yeah.
Like, because not everybody has a passion for it, and for some reason it clicked for you, you know, one day. And I want to know what that moment is.
I think if you're doing anything, you need to have a passion for it. But for me, cooking, like, I started loving it at an early age. I just, even when I was a little kid, I was like always looking over the counter, watch my mom like prepare some food and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like I just kind of took a grasp of it, and I've kind of loved it ever since.
So it was your family pretty much that kind of brought it into
perspective. Yeah, growing up in a big Italian family and on the East Coast in New Jersey, and then, always every function, lots of food and relatives over, always everyone was cooking, eating.
Now, how's that in comparison to like the West Coast?
The West Coast? I don't know. I guess I don't know what it would be like growing up young in the West Coast, but I moved here about 11 years ago to kind of continue my education and training by working in some restaurants. So when I moved out here, it was great to actually get a feel for what fresh produce and the quality of ingredients you could get right off the land. And it's amazing. Like, California is probably one of the best places in the country where you could be if you're a chef.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, he's a private chef. This guy's told me so many things that I don't even understand about cooking, and we talked about how like your emotions can be put into the food. How does that like translate? Like, explain to me what your thoughts on that is.
Exactly. Like, you could have two different chefs making the same exact dish, but it definitely, like, your personality definitely carries through in the finished product, and you could definitely taste it. But like, I always think of it as like food of love. If you, kind of, put your little, put your heart and soul into the dish. Like, you want to, you basically you're giving food to someone. So it's like the ultimate act of, caring for somebody else. So I think, that definitely comes through on the plate, and you could definitely tell if it's lacking if someone is just kind of going through the movements and, not really caring what they're doing.
You know what? I think that just put in my head that idea. You know how when people say it's nothing like mom's home cooking?
Yeah. Because
she loves you.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That didn't click till right now. Just to let you know, that's an epiphany. All right. But I know that this has gotten you to travel the world. Kind of want to, poke into that aspect of like, the two fields are virtually non-related in a way. You know what I mean? But how did you get to be cooking for the Olympic team? And specifically, when you cook for that person who, and I'll let you tell the story, right? And, feeding that person got her to go wherever she needed to go to that day. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been very lucky, but I think that just goes back to like starting by saying, like, if you're passionate about what you do, like, it'll like really open up like a lot of doors for you. So like within that passion that I had, definitely opened up doors, and I just followed those doors, not necessarily based off of what type of salary I would be getting, but just because like you love to do what you do. So, and I think that's an important thing. I had the opportunity to go to South Korea for the Winter Olympics a few years back. and just cooking for the United States ski team, and it was great. I mean, definitely their nutrition is a lot different than like the everyday person, but I mean, it was just great to put myself in like a little bit of a challenging position to feed everybody, and it was great to actually feed them and then actually go to watch some of the events that they were performing in, just knowing that like I was like kind of part of the reason why they were performing at their highest level. So it was awesome.
Yeah, man, that's like for me that's super epic because like I'm all into the health stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I have a crazy past with the whole health thing, but there's other aspects as to what you were talking about food. It's like you figured out ways to make food taste good, but still healthy at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, like how did you come about that? And like, you know, all the stuff that you've made for me so far, hands down, super good. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I just say probably just through experience, and cooking is a big part is trial and error, and you know not everything that you make is going to turn out like great, so you just like kind of learn from your mistakes and just move on from there. Actually, and then you know working in restaurants before I started the private chef type of role, you know, taught me a lot. Like working in some of the higher end restaurants that I was exposed to in New York and then California really was more of an education than anything else. So, you know, I learned a ton that way. And then coming to California and then, you know, learning about, you know, the seasonality of ingredients and, you know, how to pick the best ingredients possible, you know, all plays a role in that.
There's also a sport that we both do that, how'd you get a passion for that? Because when you come through, I mean, you be knocking heads off, at least the bags, you know what I mean? Like, we used to train.
Yeah, boxing, I don't know. It's just one of those sports. It's not like any other sport, you know, like you have MMA and that's interesting, but just the one-on-oneness of it, like it's, you know, you're working so hard for something, and you know it's just you have that respect for the other person in the ring. It's like it's something that really puts yourself to the ultimate test, and I like something that always pushes me and challenges me.
And you competed before, right?
Yeah.
How was that? I mean, like
that was a little interesting. I think you know, I don't necessarily know how I feel. I think I feel more comfortable like in a natural environment. You know, even sitting here it's okay, like there's cameras pointed at me, but
yeah.
Like when there's so many people like watching, it's like it's almost like you're not as comfortable as, but I think maybe, you know, once you get used to that, it kind of goes away.
Yeah, it blocks it out, and like
Yeah.
the whole like athlete performance
Yeah.
is based on like what you're doing in your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that you've had like, you know, different struggles in your lifetime, but how is it like, you know, acclimating into a place that's like a lot more diverse, I want to say, instead of like from where you grew up? Because like, especially in California, you know, you see a lot of different cultures that are really like melding right in front of your face.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really ties in to, you know, the whole culinary field, and you know, I had a great taste of like different cultures and stuff like that, like just working in restaurants, because there's so many different types of ethnicities, like people in, you know, working in restaurants, like you have, you know, all over the world. And then even when I've worked in restaurants in different countries, I've run into people that I've worked with before in the past, and like, you know, people coming from, you know, Japan and Mexico and all, I mean, it's just a huge melting pot. So, you know, just that in itself is like, is awesome, like, because you start to understand different cultures, and then when you start to understand different cultures, then you realize that, you know, we're all very much alike.
Yeah, definitely. Um, there's like we touched on a lot of other stuff besides like boxing. I know you did like a light stint in some martial arts. Other than that, is that something like you're still passionate about now, or something you probably want to get into?
I like that. I think the whole mindset behind martial arts is, not a lot of the schools that open up and say, okay, every week you're going to get a different belt. It's just, it's a process, and it's more mental than anything else. So I think that still plays a big part in how I am today, like on the spiritual side, and like,
Yeah, because I'm super like martial arts kind of
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
It's kind of like the whole warrior mentality. Your discipline that you do on a daily basis. All of your habits, everything from like how you put your shoes on, which foot you put into
Yeah.
each sock, all of that.
Yeah.
It's like so methodical in the way that it's done. And for myself, you already know what I'm doing. Like with all these other martial artists that are around me, they really, they give me respect in a way that I've never had it before. Because I'm not
Yeah.
even their sensei. I didn't teach them their art. You know what I mean? But because of the way that we're coming together as a team,
Yeah.
and kind of letting it show on screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's more like a team effort now
Yeah.
than it was like master student kind of like relationship. But it's a lot more friendly, especially with the people who, well, I'm working with. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they super good people, and what like with that being said, I've always wondered, like when you're in the darkest like recesses of your mind, like does that discipline come into play? You know what I mean? Like, not everyone's always had like the greatest of times. Like, is that something that you pull from, like the warrior kind of a spirit?
It does. Like I definitely, there are some trying times, and definitely, yeah. Like that whole, like when you just everything is just kind of gone to, and you could just easily give up, but you just try to come. There must be like a different route, different way you could go to still achieve that same goal that you have, or something like that.
And then you said like your spirituality, like with that, like the whole martial arts thing. What do you mean when you say that?
I think martial arts definitely channels like a lot of like there's a huge spiritual aspect. Even back in the day, Buddhist monks and stuff like that. They practice different art forms and Tai Chi and this and that.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
like a lot of it is very flowing. You don't have to necessarily. It's great to learn the techniques and know how to defend yourself, but there's other ways to, diffuse a situation, or, go about, resolving a situation. The most important thing is like not having to use that as techniques. Only in the last, circumstances when you have to. But I think being spiritual, plays a big part in that.
Like, you mean like yoga, kind of
Yoga,
spiritual?
yoga's good. I practice yoga. Yeah.
Like,
Breathing.
do you see what I'm saying? Like, does it transfer over in that way? Like if you do yoga,
Yeah.
there's some people who consider it almost a religion.
Yeah.
So when you're saying the spirituality part of it, is it that breathing or your concentration, or is it like there's an additional energy that flows through you because you're doing the art form?
Yeah, you definitely have to, have a concentration. Wait, say it again?
So like, how like yoga is like,
Yeah.
some people think it's frou-frou, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some people who are like, man, this is like a religion to them.
Yeah.
So like when you're saying it, is it that energy that flows through you because you're doing the yoga, or is it like there's an additional magical aspect to it because you're actually doing yoga?
No, I mean, I really feel if you, maybe not when you're first starting out, like I don't know. I mean, you know, I was a little skeptical when I first started. You know, I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, you know, I don't see a lot of guys doing this or this and that. But after, it's must been like 2 or 3 years now that I've been practicing. But it's like, it kind of elevated to, you know, something like you're talking about. Like, yeah, I really feel a lot better after, you know, really focusing on it and doing the movements, and not only the movements, but like the breathing exercises that go along with it. It's almost like a form of, you know, active meditation.
Mm-hmm. So this is actually flowing into the next part that I want to talk about. Is like when you're inside your meditation right there, like, do you feel that modern day now, with all this crazy stuff happening around us, and like how we're always on our phones, and how, you know, pretty much the youth doesn't respect the, I don't even know, it's not a class system, but they don't respect their elders in a way that I've never seen before. And I kind of like, I almost want to say I grew up in 6 different generations, because I know people from really young to really old, and each person that I've talked to has a different view on the same time frame. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're so lost now because we're no longer kind of like calming our minds to the point where we can actually think? You know what I mean?
I think in a way, yes. I mean, yeah, like technology is like awesome, because like it opens up many opportunities and doors to things that we were never able to achieve before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, there's the other side of it, and, you know, I don't think you should become too dependent on those things, because like you kind of lose a lot. I mean, one in particular, like just like social human interaction.
Right.
I mean, like,
which is exactly what this is about right now, y'all. Right? I know you're probably watching it on a computer somewhere, but you know, that's one of the main reasons why I want to do this, because even though we are in a coffee shop and like people are like rustling about, they're not necessarily always just talking to each other. Like, that group's doing work. You know what I mean? Like, I guess this is work, but this is like a passion for me. But
yeah.
I just really want to be out here using this platform to like rediscover people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like, as far as like the people that I've come across, mostly it's the people I've met, because you guys are interesting to me.
Yeah.
You know, but not everybody knows or recognizes that everybody is that amazing, right? Even though you think like, oh, they're not famous, they're not this, they're not that. I'm like, you guys don't get it. We're living on the same planet at the same time in the same era. How's that person living?
Yeah.
How is their mindset right now? How did they get to where they're at, you know, and still function like, you know, it's a human community in that way, you know?
You always learn something from somebody else, you know?
Right? And like, you know, going back to like, you know, spirituality, it's like, I think today people have lost the touch with, you know, like a source of like consistent, I can't really say another word for it besides love, you know, because I feel like back in the days, you know how they say chivalry is dead?
Mm-hmm.
I think chivalry is dead now, you know, in the way, not with everyone, you know, because everyone wants to be on the same level or wants to pass somebody up, you know, and some people think like being chivalrous almost demands the other person to be submissive or obedient to that kind of an order. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, in light of like all of the other stuff of how, you know, the feminism movement has happened and all this other stuff, I always think like, how come we can't just say we're equal? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like.
Yeah, a lot of times I think people misconstrue kindness as weakness.
Right.
You know, like it's almost like, you know, you're almost afraid to be. I mean, not me, but I mean, in general, like if you're kind or you do something for the other person, you know, they might take that like, oh, you know, this person wants something from me, or, you know, when it could just be out of kindness.
Right.
You know.
Like, there's always been like this, and this is one of the reasons why I want to go down south, you know, like Louisiana and all that, is like to check out what Southern hospitality is. You know, people talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm always wondering like, well, what does that really mean? Like, why are people like saying like that's how people used to be, and like the people were so kind, and you would think that every girl is hollering at you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
damn, that's crazy. Like, I need to be down there. But you get what I'm saying, though? It's like, for us to think that coming from the West Coast, we go down there, it's like, damn, they're just being polite. That's how their culture is down there.
Exactly.
You know, like, shoot out. You know, I'm kind of just shooting it out there. I feel like how would we kind of do that now? You know what I mean? Like, other than doing this, you know, talking to each other. Because I think today, you know, half of my conversation was on the telephone today. Just getting to this spot right here. You know, like, numerous people texting me, this and that. I'm just kind of like, I had to turn it off. It was just, it's a long drive to get down here.
Yeah.
So I just like let my phone just chill, and I just kind of just listen to music and watch the road as I got here. And I haven't done that in a long time. And then it goes to say again, it's like that was another form of meditation. You know, it was so many times that I've always been stopped by text messages or calls and other things. I think we just need to slow down.
Yeah.
As far as, you know, I've come across this a lot just recently, where people are turning off their Instagram, people are turning off their Facebook, getting off all these different social medias. And I'm just like, are they okay? What's going on? It's like, for me, I can see that it's something that's normal as far as like having social media, but what is it that got those people to turn it off? You know, like, a lot of people are saying, like, people are getting depressed by seeing all these other stars. They're so accessible to you all the time, you know, and like, man, my life's not like that. Oh, I don't deserve to have an Instagram. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it pushes us further into comparing, and like, that's like the worst thing you could do. Like, obviously you didn't live their life. Of course you're not gonna have what they have. You didn't do what they did to get where they are. You know?
And it's just like it's just a post too, so you don't know like what else is behind all that. It's like, you know, I could take a picture of, you know, a stack of cash, but I mean, you don't know.
Right, that could be a movie prop.
Is that right?
Right? True. Totally, dude. Totally.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It affects me in a way that I want to actually ask that person why did they do it. But at the same time, it's like you don't want to pry, because I feel like, you know, they would kind of think that we're trying to, you know, make fun of them in a way. Like, oh, you couldn't keep up on social media. You know? Even like, there's a lot of stories that I hear now about kids getting bullied over the internet. I'm like, what, man? We was getting bullied when we were young, man. They were right there. I'll be looking up straight up.
Exactly.
Dude's like 2 feet taller than me. My dad said I can't fight you. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that.
All
like,
the internet bullying, that's big now, right?
It's so different. Like, how are you so scared of being, you know, they're not being physically hurt anymore. You know what I mean? It's like Sally told whatever that Bert said this and that, and you're just like, stop.
But it's such a huge problem, like the mental health issues, and then it's just it's upsetting, but it's good that it's gotten a big spotlight amongst some of the other things recently, and you know, it's being more and more addressed now.
Man, see, the difficult part about doing this is like which direction we want to go. You just brought up another point for me is, you know, with all those like gun laws and stuff, you know, they're always talking about, oh, it's the gun. We got to stop this gun. We got to stop this gun from getting to somebody's hands. How about what was that dude's mental capacity at the time he had this gun? You know, like, was that person depressed? Was he one of the people who got off social media and said, oh, fuck this world, everybody's against me kind of thing? You know, like, nobody ever says, you know, and in the most part, those guys are usually on some kind of drug or some kind of psychotic medication that nobody's overseeing at the time, you know, and go ahead and check those facts. I checked those facts, right? So, but I'm just saying, like, I think one of the bigger issues is how we take care of each other and not how we take care of these guns. Right? Because of what? There's like 10 to 1 guns per person here in America right now. Right? We could be holding 10 each in our hands. Right? But people aren't dying left and right. Right? It's a rarity that sucks to me that they glorify or put that on the news.
And some of the weapons that are available is not just it's the specific type of guns that are available, like semi-automatic. Like what are you hunting with that? Like
Right.
what do you need? What do you need that for?
In that aspect, I understand.
Like, that's kind of
But then that also goes back to the whole like
you know.
that amendment where we're supposed to be able to carry our keep ourselves safe from a tyrant government. So that's why there's some people that, at least as I understand it, they're fighting to keep that amendment because if you just excuse me, you take away all the guns of all the citizens, the government can do whatever they want, right? The government's definitely not scared because you don't have any weapons to defend yourself. And I think that was one of the main reasons why that was put into the Constitution, right? But I just and you see my Instagram, I'm always pumping out like positive vibes, trying to get people in the right mindset, and I feel like some people think I'm crazy, which is okay. It comes about all the time. So I just have a general care for people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like stewardship to humanity of just trying to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, man. What are you planning to do with this? Your route in life. Like, I know you cook. I know you do sports. I know you're like, finding your way through it. And you're like, you're no longer in your 20s, right?
No.
Yeah. Where do you feel like this is gonna go? And like, or are you just a nomad? Is this like,
I always felt like more of a, not so, I don't know, a nomad, but like kind of, I was never like in any big group or clique. I always like to go my own direction, Don't go with the crowd,
Yeah.
Sometimes that's been beneficial to me, and sometimes that's been, just kind of, it could be lonely at times. It could be other things. But I think if I had to go back, I don't think I would really change too many things. And I think it's important to make those mistakes along the way to learn from and elevate yourself. But no, I mean, I still have a passion for cooking, and nutrition has a big role in it. But also, I'd say, how can I use that to help others? There's so many different directions within, the culinary field and ways it's going. It's not just, cooking. It's how can you source ingredients that are, sustainable, with that are better ways to get these things that are better for the environment. And there's so many different directions. Like, there's so many talented chefs in restaurants now. I was just reading an article about one chef, and he just won a big award. I think it was like $100,000 for it's held in Spain, the Basque Award.
Mm-hmm.
But he's based in the Bay Area, and he started Mission Chinese Food, and basically he started this organization, and he's teaming up with like well-renowned chefs around the world now, and they're really looking at a way how they could stop food waste and in different ways that they could help with farming practices and that sort of thing. So it's kind of inspirational to look at these people that are doing such great things, and like just kind of learn from them and try to kind of go in that direction as well.
That's funny you say that, man. I actually have a couple of farmers I'm working with now.
Yeah.
I mean, right now it's just the land that they own around their own home.
Yeah.
But we're, looking to try and network through hundreds, even thousands of people, and see like if like the OG system of like bartering the food, could kind of work. But it's in the test development phase now. That's definitely something I'm going to look into.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hit you up about that because it's something major. Like at Astral Armada, we're not just martial arts stunts and stuff like that. It's like we got to be able to feed ourselves too and be, like you're saying, like self-sufficient and sustainable. Yeah. Going into we're at like almost 8 billion people on this planet already. That's a lot of people to feed, And if we're not going back to trying to feed ourselves, I feel somebody else is gonna feed us crap. because then
Yeah.
ultimately they don't necessarily like, look at all these companies now. They're not providing the foods that we should be eating. You know what I mean? Like there's foods I eat now. You know, if I wasn't on such like trying to be as clean as possible, I'll eat it and then I'll feel like, man, I feel like crap right now. I wonder what it is. Like
Yeah.
the very next day, and then you know it's hard to breathe. And then you ask somebody like, oh, what did you eat? You know,
Yeah.
and they're like, I had some pizza with you know my friends or whatever, and they're like, dude, it's the cheese. The cheese is like a inflammatory thing. Like I'm like, well, whatever, man. That's not true. And then I'm like, you know, you go into Google and it's like the first 10 articles are on that same thing that your friend just said, and I'm just like, man, how is it that something that was like not good for me got into our food chain, and we just readily eat it all the time and thinking like it's actually something good for us, you know?
Exactly.
But and I, you know, I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes with the whole food pyramid thing, but like I think it's backwards. Like if I ate like that, I'd get even bigger than I am now. You know what I mean? Like you know, I feel like those people are about the profit and they're not about how food is in the way that you and myself see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, well, shoot, that sounds exciting, man. How are we doing on time?
We're at about 31.
30 more?
31 minutes.
31 minutes? Okay. Well, perfect. We'll probably like pop it in here. There's like there's a movement in self-gardening and like you know, urban farming and all of these other things that kind of like help you grow inside.
Yeah.
You know, do you see that as something viable for us and something that we could actually start practicing now, kind of like to help spread the word of you know, growing for yourself, you know?
Absolutely. I think one of the challenges is having the space and the land to do it. But if you do, I mean, I'm all for it. Like instead of planting like a green lawn, why not just plant like vegetables and stuff like that? You know?
Well, you say that, right?
Yeah.
You say that. I think that,
Yeah.
but did you hear about the family that's like in LA, and they started doing that to their yard and they got fined?
Oh, okay. It rings a bell a little bit.
Right? And like I'm like, okay, hold on. This is their own land.
Yeah.
Couldn't you grow whatever you wanted on your own land? But
Yeah.
then when the city saw what they were doing,
Wow.
they started getting fined. You know, for me, that's just straight up, you know, they're trying to get money
Yeah.
and have, because, you know, the people who are paying taxes to get food into their area are obviously paying taxes to the city.
Yeah.
You know, so now if they're just feeding themselves, then they don't have to pay taxes to the city. And I just think that's another form of money grabbing. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
Right? Well, shoot, I would even like, because I've been farming since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, and like my grandma's shown me like ways to make it happen for myself. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I like being outside and like being in trees and like seeing like that was all my work. My hands did that, you know?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we forget about that too. You know, like since everything's moved a lot more forward into technology, just getting into the dirt and like working hard for
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
has been totally lost, you know?
Yeah, I think you know, people have gotten so I mean, everyone is busy. They, you know, they're working in different fields and but at the same time, I think people have just gotten used to the convenience of having things like right at their fingertips.
Yeah.
So with that, like you just click a button and it's here, or you know, you just hello, and then someone is doing the work for you. But it's like, I don't know, I kind of like doing things for myself. Like, I mean, there's certain things like I need something done, like an operation. You're not gonna do that yourself, but you know, a silly example, but I think it's good to like learn things that, you know, how to do things on your own, you know?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you your opinion on this, because like, if I've noticed over the years when I was younger, when I was in high school, we still had like home economics,
Yeah.
you know, being a mechanic or fixing your car, and all these other classes were still there. Today, those classes are non-existent, because I've I've come across no one that's done them, since I've been in high school. And do you see that as making us weaker as a people? You know what I mean? Like, you're saying that hard work is actually something good. Is that another trend? Do you feel that that's like a trend?
I think so. I mean, I just think that, it's great to have the convenience of certain things, but, we shouldn't go overboard and, get too comfortable. I don't think it's ever good to get too comfortable with anything, You should always stay like almost like a little edgy, like,
What do you mean by edgy? Like somebody's gonna throw a water balloon at you? And
No,
walk out
but
these doors,
like I just mean like, I don't like the idea of getting too comfortable because like, things could always change.
You feel? Oh, I got you.
Life is a changing. It's a process.
Yeah.
There's ups, there's downs. You can't get too comfortable. You just have to.
I think you're like touching on the point of like complacency or like
Yeah,
you're taking things
exactly.
for granted,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It might be like, I don't know, like it could even be unaware that you might be taking things for granted because you're just so used to you're
Right.
so used to it.
Right. I've come across people like that. I'm not gonna point them out them right now, but like,
Yeah.
when man, that's so key right now. I think that's really key right now. I think this is something I've really gotten used to just as of recent. And I'm gonna tie this into you in a few seconds. So, people talk about entrepreneurialism as somebody's opened up a business and then started doing everything on their own and all this other stuff. What people don't see is like, I think it's a non-stop struggle of trying to balance your life and social life with how much passion you have for being successful in whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And coming across like a whole bunch of different hardships and kind of like learning for myself where I want to go,
Mm-hmm.
and getting those key parts of myself to not be complacent. Because there's times when I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. This is working now.
Yeah.
And then the instance I let go of like thinking like that's the only process of how I should do it, something comes about. You know what I mean? And then I think that's that edgy part that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And going into the whole entrepreneurialism, that's what you're doing every day. Especially as a private chef.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily just go around and hey, do you need food? Hey, do you need food?
Yeah.
It's different. Like explain to me like your experiences as an entrepreneur going into that. Field.
It's every situation is very unique because I'm more of a freelance private chef, so I work for many different individuals. So with each client or individual, you always have a different set of requirements. Some are more challenging than others. For example, I'll be in Japan next month cooking for the United States triathlon team while they train out there. But they have a huge set of requirements nutritionally because they have to keep up with their calorie intake and there's certain things that they do not eat and so it just is tough for me to make sure, not tough, but it puts the pressure on me to meet their needs so they can perform at their highest.
Oh, this is a quick question. I don't know if this even relates to it, but does climate, take into consideration when you're saying you're in Japan, like, aren't you a certain level above sea level or whatever, and like, do they have to be eating more calories at a different altitude or anything like that?
I think we'll be closer to the water.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how big of a difference that is going to make, but I like in my experience with like high endurance athletes, they eat a lot. Like it's like it's almost like kind of scary to see because it's a lot of food.
Hold on, when you say a lot,
Yeah.
I mean I eat a lot, right?
Yeah.
But in comparison to what does that mean exactly? Like what's a calorie intake for one of these endurance athletes?
Man, I don't know, like probably like probably at least double the amount of a normal person. Probably like 5,000.
5,000 a day, 6,000 calories
Yeah, I
a
mean,
day.
if you think about it, if they have, on average, maybe two to three workouts a day, it's basically, morning, breakfast, workout, morning, mid-morning, come back, eat, rest a little bit, go back out for another workout, come back, eat. And I mean, there might be a couple low endurance, but
Like exercises after that.
yeah, like there's a lot of, not just like, going to run 15 miles to train, but there's other things like strength training and all that other good stuff.
It's pretty crazy. I got into a wild tangent, man. Hold on. I had another question about like, because like how do you go about trying to manage your time? Like how do you figure out, how do you advertise? How do you like find your clientele? You know what I mean? Like how did you get to be on the Olympic team and like these big events that I heard you cover a couple of times?
A lot of times it's just been like, it's all connected. Like I think it's important to make great relationships with people that you worked with in the past. And like, you ever hear the saying like, don't burn any bridges?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Like that's a big one for me. Like I always try to leave, if I leave one place that I've been before, I always try to leave on a good note.
Yeah.
Because you never know like where you're going to see these people, in the future, or someone knows that person.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have a good like history with that. So like a lot of the opportunities that have come my way, like the Olympic one was through an old co-worker that I used to have in the restaurant industry, and he became a nutritionist and was working for the ski team, and he reached out to me saying, we'll be here next year cooking for the Olympic team. Would you like to come, join me out here? And I said, sign me up.
For real. And I remember because you were gone for like few months.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like,
It was
dang, I
a
wonder.
good chunk of time. Yeah.
I was like, is he gonna come back? Does he want to even come back? Like,
Yeah.
that was really a culture shock for you. Had you been there before?
No, South Korea. No, I have never been there. But I think, and that was like at the time, like there was like a lot of tension with like, with North Korea, and they were saying like, back in was it a year or so ago, the last Olympics was
Yeah, and
28. What year is it?
it's 2019.
Okay. Yeah. But anyhow, I was a little skeptical at first, like, oh, gee, I already signed up for this, but like, I don't want anything bad to happen,
Right.
But, I just went with it. And, once you get there, I mean, everyone is so friendly. It's amazing.
I would think like, this is a question. I think this is how you're saying like everybody's really friendly.
Yeah.
Do you feel like in high-end competition, it could be anything, like any sport, do you find people are more apt to be kind to each other than they are more like, like in fight sports, obviously they're talking crap to each other or whatever.
Yeah.
But even in my like collegiate experience in sports, it's like when you get up there, I feel people know the level already, and they're just like, oh, he might get me today, I might get him too. It's like, because it's so like half a second or half an inch difference in the level of performance at times. Unless you got like a Michael Jordan or something. But do you feel people are more apt to be kind to you because they know your level, or are they being kind to you to try and like lower your defenses? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think it takes a lot of work to kind of put on that, facade, like that whole fakeness. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe it comes naturally to some people. But like, in high-end competition, I was just watching a track and field event yesterday on ESPN, and it was all people from all around different countries, you know, Brazil, Africa, you know, European countries, and like, you know, everyone's different color, skin, different, you know, but they're all like towing up at the line, you know, and you know, it's I think that's another thing, like, you know, in sports, like there's you have to have a lot of respect for one another, you know, because you're all there for like the same purpose. So it's like,
Yeah. At least for myself, I've noticed that too. You know,
Yeah.
I think like people at the lower end don't recognize how much work the people at the high end actually do.
yeah,
So it's like, I feel that people at the higher end of competition don't waste their time
Mhm.
and energy, you know, going
Yeah.
with that kind of like, you know, trash
Yeah.
talking or whatever.
yeah,
And again, you
Yeah.
know, excluding examples of like fight sports because
yeah.
it's what sells tickets.
Sells it,
You know,
yeah.
but like, I think, are you into strongman at all? Strongman competitions?
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to watch like the old school ones.
Yeah. So like, what I've noticed like in strongman competitions,
Yeah.
nobody talks crap to each other.
no,
You know, because like they're totally in the old school. They have their mentality into a
Yeah.
way where it's like,
Yeah.
that guy could die in a few seconds. He drops that weight on himself, he's dead. You know what I mean? I don't want his last thought of me being
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
you piece of shit or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, this and that. But it's like, I really feel, like you said, it's that level of respect, man.
Yeah.
Like even amongst like fighters or the fighter community,
Yeah.
they're not mad at each other. You know,
Yeah.
like there's that level of like decimation can come from each other's hands, and it's
Yeah.
like it's way easier to be kind and be like, I'm chill, man, I'm chill. It's not nobody here is looking for a fight, you know.
Yeah.
And I've really come across like that dichotomy, like being in like the fight industry, I guess, kind of, you know.
Mhm.
The people who are at the lower end are always trying to like cut off your heels or cut off your ankles.
Yeah.
The people at the higher end are like, oh man, hurry up, come on up. You know, like how can I help you get up here too?
A lot of that, you know, kind of goes back into like, you know, they see this person, they're on the jealous side too. So a lot of
Yeah,
that plays into it.
yeah, and it's the whole like crab in a barrel, right?
Yeah.
You see somebody coming up and they try to like take a little bit of it.
Yeah.
You got anything that you want to promote? You know, you got a website or anything like that, or?
Yeah, you can look me up. I have a website. It's chefjohnbarone.com. I don't know if you put it in.
Yeah, totally, dude. Put that in the description. Let's
Yeah.
go on YouTube.
But we were talking about getting off social media before, and like a while back, I took myself off Facebook, and I stopped posting on Instagram. I used to post a lot, but I just needed a little break, you know,
Yeah.
just to kind of detox myself.
Wait, hold on. We were talking about that earlier, and you
Yeah.
just now brought that back up. Like, yeah. Well, I want to know about that. Why did that happen for you? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I just felt like a little overwhelmed, and some personal things in my life. I was like, you know what? I think I got caught up in a moment where like I was like, gee, I was feeling like I needed, like you said, like you need to like have your phone in your hand and like look at things all the time, or you know, I'm not necessarily comparing myself, but I was like, oh gee, what should I, you know, put up there or something like that, or like constantly looking on that. And I said, you know, this is consuming way too much of my time, you know. It's almost like, you know, it's not a drug that you take, but it's like it's a drug, different type of drug, you know.
Hold on. Now we can compare this to actual real drugs.
Yeah.
Because every time you see a like or something pop on, and they've done tests on this too.
Yeah.
Dopamine pops off in your mind. You
Yeah.
know, norepinephrine, all these good things happen in
Yeah.
your mind. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's tight. What is
Yeah.
that? In a way, that's drugs.
Yeah.
Dopamine is an actual,
Yeah.
you know, hormone that,
Yeah.
that we consume that way. You know, so
Yeah.
when you say it's not something that you take, we're ingesting it in that way, at least in that aspect.
I don't think I was on like the lower end of the spectrum where like, you know, I felt that way, because I know there's a lot of other people out there like, you know, always on there. I mean, there's been documentaries on the subject,
Yeah.
you know, but I was like, you know what, before it gets to like a problem, let's just take a step back for a second, you know.
Yeah.
And like I was saying before, like, you know, it's better to socialize with someone like face to face, like we're doing now. So,
Yeah, because then you get to read like their expressions, and then like,
Yeah.
you know, you feel them out. There's like a
Yeah.
real energy in the
Yeah.
room.
You can never tell what someone's feeling through a text message. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, it could have many different meanings.
Well, that's why we have those emojis, and we'll put the whole
Yeah.
like wow, comma, ha ha, and all this other stuff, right? And because here's the thing, I just talked plain before when text messaging. Yeah, that's how old I am. Text messaging just came out, right? Nobody would put like those emojis because there wasn't that. You didn't have that thing yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, wait a minute, they might take that this way. Well, I'll just wait and see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we're learning each other's thresholds, because somebody could take it like sarcastically, or some person could be like, oh, why'd you say that? Like, and then you put a period instead of like a dot, or like, and then I would get all these crazy like reactions from people. I'm like, you know me, I don't act like that. Why would I say it that way? you see what I'm saying? Like that's when we meet in person again, though. And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, you can't, like I said, the energy isn't like given back and forth. So it's like super dangerous. And you've seen like those memes where people break up over the phone, and it's like they didn't understand what the other person was saying. You know what I mean? And it's just like, dang. The biggest miscommunication, they say it's social media, but it's the biggest, miscommunication amongst everyone that's human now. I feel, because this is real, man. Like, if I take it down all the way to like scientific levels, the vibrations in this room is bouncing off of everybody in here, and anybody tail ending hearing some of my stuff right here. There's a woman that got caught seeing us right here, right now, and she just wanted to listen. She was there for like 10 minutes just listening.
Oh, well, I didn't even notice.
Bro, like, I know. That's my whole. I'm trying to be edgy. I'm trying to be edgy. Stay on alert, right? But yeah, it's like, for me, and that's another subject, dude. Like, I'm all about energy.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't feel something's right, get out of there. They always tell us about our gut instinct. They always tell us about, right? Yeah. Why would we feel that way if there's nothing going on? Like, even our dreams. Our dreams are like a fail-safe system to help us understand and like put all of our things together. Yeah. But one of the things I've noticed is, like, if you were to take out a fake spider right now, toss that out into that room, right? Yeah. And how many people you think would react like all crazy, right? Yeah, yeah. Why are we innately scared of a specific shape? Have it not be colored as a spider, but a specific shape, some people would still be creeped out. Yeah. Right? Like, it's generationally tuned into us just over time. Yeah. You got it, right? Like, and it could be anything. It could be like, for people in Japan, it's like a face that's white. You know what I mean? Like a white mask will scare people over there. But over here, we're just like Jabberwockies. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's time to dance, But over there, everything's different. Like, white in Japan is evil. Black is actually good. But when you see that over here in like American cartoons and stuff like that, you'd always think the white person's doing the good thing, right? The color, and then the people wearing the dark clothes
switched.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's all whatever it is, from whatever perspective you take it, and that's the whole thing about the emojis and stuff on when you're texting. I think that's what we need. We need more of this, and I think we're good, man. I'm gonna put it right here and say, this has been another episode of Conversations with Master of Thought, John Barone, personal chef. If you guys need to get thank you in touch with that guy, I'm gonna put down his website down at the bottom of this in the description. You can also find me at Master of Thought on Instagram, and shout out to Mr. Dabber 510. We'll be doing another anime review soon, so watch out for that one too. And sign on.